food is vital to survival. Food is also an important component of trade within and amongst nations. While only 0.6% of India's trade is international and the rest is domestic, institutions like GATT or the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, and now the World Trade Organization or WTO that regulate international trade are dictating what we eat, how it is grown, who grows it.
We are a trade organisation. That is our core business, that is our core function. And that's what we should stick to our knitting.
And yet, in the name of this trade, our government and those of developed countries are industrialists working in tandem with international business. The heads of international institutions regularly feed us the myth that the market is the only answer to our hunger, that there is no other way. Myth 1. WTO rules increase trade and employment and remove poverty. Trade liberalization has already led to a shift in production from food to export crops like shrimps, flowers, cotton. Not only have these policies taken land away from food crops, they have taken land away from small farmers who produced enough food for themselves, adding to the lakhs of homeless desperately searching for jobs in towns and cities. Year 1998. Place, Warangal, Andhra Pradesh. Event, suicide by hundreds of farmers. Monsanto, one of the world's largest seed and agrochemical multinationals, entices farmers into believing that their seeds and pesticides are a miracle for the cotton crop. From 1998 to 2000, more than 2,000 farmers in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Haryana and Punjab committed suicide because they could not pay back the high-interest loans they had taken for seeds, fertilizers and pesticides from companies like Monsanto. Myth 2. WTO rules will increase exports of high-value crops, improve farmers' incomes and earn vital foreign exchange. But the truth is really quite different. Year 1995. Place, Perunthotam, Tamil Nadu. Event, protest against industrial shrimp farming. This protest in coastal Tamil Nadu is the cry of thousands of fisherfolk and farmers who have been displaced, their farms, their water sources ruined by industrial shrimp culture by multinationals. In fact, India loses about $10 in terms of cultivable land, drinking water and fishing catch for every single dollar that is earned through shrimp exports. In the case of meat, living cattle provide us with $17 million worth of milk, $1.5 billion worth of food grains through manure, and $17 million of energy through ploughing. But when slaughtered and exported, they fetch less than 1/5 of their real worth. Definitely not enough for the increased food import bills, let alone increased fertilizer, diesel and power. Myth 3. Food imports mean better and cheaper food for India's millions. Is importing food really cheaper for India and for Indians? Year, August 1998. Place, Delhi. Event, protest by Indian farmers and women's organizations against government ban on mustard oil and removal of restrictions on edible oil imports. In fact, our government, succumbing to international corporate pressure, used the mustard oil tragedy, which happens every year and is often restricted to a few corrupt traders, to ban the most used cooking oil so as to justify increased soya bean and soya oil imports. Within one season, the ban on local processing of mustard destroyed the domestic edible oil economy.
सरसों नई नई चालीन जी पहली 18 से 19 से सरसों हुई अब है जब सरसों 8 से 9 से रहेगी किसान इस तरीका से घाटा में जा रही है मतलब जैसे नई पैदा हुआ तरह इस्तेमाल खूब हाई रे है ना और पैदा हुई और बस भाव लौट जावे.
Within 1 year, Soya imports increased by 300%, cost the country $1 billion and worsened the country's balance of payments position. And yet, the government has gone ahead and signed a deal with US in December 1999 to remove quantitative restrictions and allow dumping of 7,000 essential commodities, including food, by April 2001.
आयात होने से यहाँ पैदावार के बहुत घाटा हो रहा है और दूसरा भी बहुराष्ट्रीय से दवाई बनती है वो जैसे कीटाणु नाश करना है और बढ़ता है, कम नहीं होता है, बढ़ता है, तो उससे भी खेडूत को बहुत घाटा हो रहा है.
So, if free trade in agriculture does not make India or Indians any richer, who then makes the money? Myth 4. Free trade creates a level playing field where Indian business will not only compete with multinational companies but also become MNCs themselves. It is the giant agribusiness companies like Cargill which make huge profits by trading food on international markets, not nations and small traders. Year 1995. Place, India. Event, wheat shortage in the country. Cargill bought Indian wheat at $66 to $100 per ton and sold it in the international market at $230 per ton. There was an acute wheat shortage in the country. We were forced to buy back 2 million tons of the same wheat from Cargill at the international price. Cargill also makes money directly from the consumer and the farmer. This mill in Uttar Pradesh has been taken over by Cargill, which earns through buying wheat from farmers, transporting it to its own mills, processing it, selling it to wholesalers who brand it and sell it in their names. In the process, 3.5 million family-run kirana stores and more than 2 million flour mills and chakkis get pushed out of business. Does this make atta any cheaper?
बाजार में गेहूं 10 रुपए केजी मिल जाता है. बढ़िया गेहूं जो है 10 रुपए केजी आजकल बहुत अच्छा है, लेकिन ये 160 का पड़ता है अन्नपूर्णा का आटा 10 केजी का.
Branded atta is definitely costlier than the atta we get freshly ground in front of our eyes at the chakkis. Myth 5. Multinational food chains will offer us better, safer and more hygienic food. Year 2000. Place, Delhi. Event, banning of all small food stalls which do not have hygiene certificate from the municipal corporation. What do we mean by food today? Not idli and sambar, dal chawal. Food today is burgers, pizzas and French fries. And are these foods really safer than dhaba foods? Did you know that more than 83 million Americans suffer from food poisoning every year eating these same burgers? That in the 10 years between 1984 and 1994, the number of Americans dying from such food poisoning quadrupled from 2,000 to 9,000. And of course, we've all heard of the mad cow disease, which swept all over Europe in 1997 because of industrial farming. Our food is not the only frontier for the MNCs. They want to own and control our entire knowledge and natural resource base. Myth 6. Patents and trade-related intellectual property rights reward innovation. Watch this woman saving seeds in a manner that is her ancestral agricultural legacy, tried and tested over centuries. Now, if this were a patented seed, she would be facing criminal charges for theft of intellectual property. Year 1995. Place, USA. Event, Rice Tech claims patent on a variety of basmati rice. W.R. Grace has been given patents on various agricultural applications of the neem.
Our exports have declined due to certain, because of the adverse campaign launched by United States. Though Texmati is nothing but a hybrid variety, it is an Indian comparable to any other Indian long grain varieties.
Intellectual property rights, as defined by the TRIPS agreement of the WTO, is nothing more than a tool for life sciences multinationals to take over our biodiversity. Companies like Monsanto today own patents on mustard, soya bean and cotton crops. These crops have not been invented by Monsanto. but have been evolved by farmers of Third World over thousands of years. Instead of recognizing the centuries of intellectual contribution, innovation, and toil of Indian farmers, our government is rushing through laws to hand over our precious biodiversity and its knowledge to MNCs. Let's face it, by using the myth of subsidies to farmers, it's actually hiding immense subsidies to corporations through changes in seed patent laws, allowing dumping through removing import restrictions, and changing policies to divest people of their lands and destroy their livelihoods. Is the playing field really level? Globalization is supposed to end the license permit Raj. But for the poor of India, a new license permit Raj is being established. With their harvest stolen legally, the real Indian now needs a license to live.